You're listening to Flip Empire, the show committed to helping real estate entrepreneurs who want to build their empire without sacrificing their life. Your success and freedom starts now with your host, Alex Pardo.
What is up, my friends? Alex Pardo here, and I'm super happy to be able to come at you here with another masterclass on the Flip Empire show. So, my friends, I'm going to dive right into this particular episode, and I'm going to do my best to have three unrelated topics, and I'm going to do my best to tie it all in together because there's a lot of things that I really want to share with you in the upcoming episodes. And I was kind of debating if I wanted to just focus on one particular thing and go a little bit deeper. But what I want to do is, because of the timing of this particular episode, it's almost the end of 2022. This is being released in early November, and it's unbelievable to me how fast time goes. There's some seeds I want to plant with you that I believe are going to help you rounding out this year and heading into the new year. So there's three particular things I want to cover on today's podcast episode. And again, I will do my best to have these connected, although admittedly, they're somewhat unrelated. So just stick with me here. The first thing is, I've talked on previous episodes how now is the perfect time, in my opinion, late October, beginning to mid-November, like right before the holidays, to start doing a year-end review. Now, there's a couple different year-end reviews that I like to do. First, let me start with the one that can be somewhat uncomfortable for people. Before you know it, tax season is around the corner, and this is one of those pain points for so many real estate investors and entrepreneurs. And I can share with you personal examples of how much this has cost me in years past by not having your books cleaned up, not having a reliable bookkeeper and CPA that you can lean on, not reviewing your P&L and your balance sheet and your financials, making adjustments, making decisions based on those financials. So here's what I want to do. I want to challenge you. I want to challenge you that if you don't have your books in order, make that a priority, because you've probably already been through the pain and suffering of January, February, March, April comes around, and you're feeling that stress, you're feeling that anxiety of now you have to file an extension, right? And this conversation isn't, I'm not going to lean on, hey, does it make sense to file an extension or not? But what I want you to do is I want you to eliminate that angst. I want you to eliminate that stress and that burden that you might be listening to this and saying, hey, I know where you're at because I'm there at the beginning of every year. I'm there trying to figure out where I'm at financially. I was having a conversation with somebody not too long ago that made 7 figures. He's already made 7 figures, but he can't tell me exactly how much he's made. He's got no idea. He's like, dude, I don't know if I've made a little bit over $1 million, or I don't know if I've made closer to $2 million. And that blows me away. And he doesn't have his books in order. So think about the missed opportunities. Think about the leaks in the boat that he's not even aware of. In other words, he's good at making money, but he's not necessarily good at keeping it, tracking it, managing it, and growing it, right? He's at that stage where he's gotten really, really good at sales and marketing, makes a lot of money, but doesn't exactly know how much he's making, isn't exactly sure. He just doesn't really know his numbers. And that's interesting. So I just finished earlier this week. I spent about an hour and a half on the phone with my CPAs, and we were doing a year-end review. And I had my books up to date all the way through the end of October. And I said, okay, well, here's what we project to make in revenue in the different businesses by the end of the year. What's my potential tax liability? We did a cost segregation study on our Mississippi facility earlier in the year. So I already know exactly how much I'm going to have to recapture upon the sale of that facility. We just acquired a new facility. So we were discussing, hey, does it potentially make sense to do a cost segregation on that? We're going to be timing the sale of our Mississippi facility into early next year so that I can punt on those capital gain taxes for another year. And so just strategically, what came out of that meeting is a game plan, a strategy that is going to help me save, defer, and in some cases, significantly reduce taxes. We talked about the potential of a 1031 exchange. So that's the benefit of just having a pulse on your businesses, your financials, the different things you have going on. And then equally as important is having professionals that you can rely on that also have a pulse on your business. So really, really crucial and critical that you're self-aware, you understand where you're at. Maybe you're at a point where you're listening to this and you're like, dude, I haven't done any of my books for 2022. Well, then don't worry about the year-end tax planning with a CPA. Just focus on having the right person, a professional CPA level quality bookkeeper, in my opinion. Just compile all of your statements, compile all the information that you believe this bookkeeper is going to need, and find that right person. If you don't know who it is, start asking people in your inner circle, start asking friends, start asking those that you respect in the real estate community. Hey, who can you blindly trust from a bookkeeping perspective? Get on their calendar now. And I really want to challenge you to have your books in order, ideally within the next month. Believe it or not, that can happen before December 15th even comes around and people start to take their foot off the gas and enjoying the holidays and the festivities. You can make a lot of headway and progress with starting the new year fresh, knowing exactly where you are in 2022 financially. And then you could move on to that next step of scheduling a year-end review or a prior year review with your CPA. So really, really important. Along those same lines, the other type of review I like to do is looking back. Where have I grown? What are the challenges? Where do I need to grow? What are the skills that I need to refine, sharpen, and or acquire? Where did I fall short? Let's celebrate. What did I accomplish? Right? And then what do I want to do heading into 2023? So those are the two different types of year-end reviews. And where I'm going to attempt to merge this into the second topic that I wanted to share with you is the power of setting an intention. So this year, my wife and I have hired a couple of different coaches, one in the health space, and then another one is more of a life and relationship coach, because we're always looking at the different areas of my life and saying, hey, where's the gap? Where are we now to where we want to be? And then how do we bridge that gap? And that's why I'm such a believer of coaches, mentors, masterminds. And you've heard me talk about that so much on the podcast. So one of the things that one of our coaches shared with us is the power of setting an intention. And we had a meeting with her. This was close to 2 months ago. And the topic of parenting came up, and we started talking about our girls and just some of the common challenges that parents deal with. If you have kids and you're listening to this, you can relate. You know what I'm talking about. And she challenged me. She said, well, because we were talking about health and fitness prior to that. And I said, look, I have experience. I'm aware enough that in my health and fitness journey, I'm somewhat of a pendulum. Right? Like I can go balls to the wall really hard, doing 75 hard type of like, I'm super dialed in with health and fitness. And then when I hit that, I've noticed that it tends to act as a pendulum. And then I kind of like let myself go a little bit, quote unquote, like by my standards. And I start to enjoy one too many desserts, and I start to do this and that. And I was sharing with her that I'm at a point now where I've gained, like I got back down to where I wanted to be as a result of 75 hard in phase one. And slowly, I've started to like loosen up on some of those disciplines that got me that goal, got me what I wanted. And now I'm on the complete opposite side, and I've gained too much weight. And these are things I want to improve. And she was like, well, she shared her personal story about the power of setting an intention. And I won't share that with you here, but she goes, what could you eliminate from your diet, right? That isn't serving you and moving you in the direction of your desired outcome. Right? Whether it's a body fat, a weight, a certain look, what could you eliminate? And immediately what came up for me was, well, pretty much after every meal, I've been like having some sort of sweet, right? And I'm just being totally honest and transparent with you here. And she goes, that's interesting. And she kind of like, and just being a good coach, she didn't really say much. She followed up with a question. And where I led to was, I said, well, hey, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set an intention. I'm going to eliminate desserts for the next month, right? For some of you listening, no big deal. You guys probably don't like sweets. For others of you, it's like, man, that'd be tough, right? So whatever it is for you, think about what you would eliminate that isn't serving you. That is a difficult thing for you. It's challenging. And I said, well, I'm going to eliminate desserts for the next month. And she goes, okay, well, let's set an intention. Why are you doing that? And then initially I was like, well, because I want to lose some weight. She's like, no. Like that's isn't deep enough. That isn't a strong enough intention, i.e. a strong enough why. And she's like, we just finished having a conversation about parenting and your daughter. She's like, what if you set this intention for your daughters for X specific reason? And I won't share what that specific reason is, but I made an intention that day. And we were going to a friend's house that was like having a little bit of a party and get together. And I knew there was going to be all this amazing food and sweets and desserts. And I was like, well, I could set that in. Because initially I was like, okay, well, I'm going to start on Monday, right? And I was like, no, I know better than that. This is something that's important to me. Why am I going to kick this off for 2-3 days? And I said, I'm going to set an intention to eliminate desserts for the next 30 days. And the intention is for my daughters for this specific reason. Well, I can tell you that it's about 2 months later, I have yet to have a dessert in 2 months, which again, doesn't sound like a big deal for a lot of you, but there's two things that it's accomplished. Number one, it's gotten me towards my goal. I've lost close to 7 pounds. And I'm just feeling better, like not as tight and sore and achy, just muscles and joints and things of that nature. But the reason I've gone a month beyond what I've committed to is because of that intention. So how could you use this in your life and in your business? When you wake up in the morning, set an intention for the day. What is something that you could eliminate, reduce, and or do that you've been putting off that you know if you did would move you in the direction of your vision, your goals, your ambitions, whatever it is that you're after. This could be in business or in your life. But then take it a step further. Offer that commitment, that action to something that is meaningful to you. In other words, set a powerful intention for yourself. And this could be on a specific, this could be for the day, this could be for the week. I like to do it for the month because I know that it's a non-negotiable. When I told her, hey, I'm setting this intention for my daughters, when I got to that party that night and they had tres leches and they had all this like delicious dessert, it wasn't really that difficult for me because I made a promise to myself. She's holding me accountable. I put it out there and I wasn't going to go back on my word. So my word is a non-negotiable. If I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And that's it. And so I didn't have that mental warfare with, hey, should I have at least a little bite? Or sure, hey, should I start on Monday instead of starting on a Friday night? There was nothing to talk about. So when my wife and I go on date nights on Friday nights and we go to our favorite restaurants, waitress or waiter comes around and says, hey, did we leave room for dessert? That's like the common question, right? There wasn't a debate in my head about it. I'm like, no, I'm good. That's it. Like done. Why? Because I set that intention. Now, had I not set that intention, I guarantee you there would have been at least a door open to consider doing it, even though I had committed to it. So that speaks to the power of accountability. I think it speaks to the power of setting powerful intentions and then having people in your corner that are going to support you and that will hold you accountable. And then the last thing I want to share with you, and again, this is where I'm attempting to connect all these three somewhat unrelated topics, but if you really think about it, they're not unrelated, is I didn't create this quote. I think it was Tony Robbins, or I don't know who it was, but progress equals happiness. And I experienced this yesterday. So you may know that about 3 weeks ago, we closed on our second storage facility in North Florida, and we're in the process of getting that dialed in. And so that there's been some time and effort devoted to that, in addition to the sale of our Mississippi facility and Ascend and the podcast and the lending and just some other things I have going on. And I hadn't really been making that much progress on acquiring the next facility or wholesaling the next facility, because that's something I've also set out as a goal, is to wholesale some storage facilities and get people involved that have been wanting to get involved in storage. So one of the things I did was in the morning, I said, hey, I'm carving out 2 hours and I'm just going to cold call storage facilities. At the end of those 2 hours, I sent out well over 12, 13 emails. I made over 20 calls. I connected with a handful of owners. And there's one that there could be a potential. They're open to selling. And so the lines of communication have been established. So even though I didn't send an offer, even though I only connected with one person that was open to selling, the fact that I finished those 2 hours and I felt like I had made progress completely changed the way I felt moving forward. Like I had felt so much better with that 2 hour commitment, that time window of cold calling. And I said, I just need to stack this, right? And so I set a goal to do X amount of cold calling per week. And then tying it in, I set an intention behind it. Okay. And so this is where now it becomes a non-negotiable and it's going to happen. And now I'm stacking that feeling of progress, which is giving me that feeling of happiness. So remember, progress equals happiness. How can you apply this in your life and business? Think about the things that you know would accelerate your growth and success, would ascend you towards your success, pun intended, and figure out what it is you need to do and then set a powerful intention behind it. Then just make it a non-negotiable with yourself. You say you're going to do it, you're going to do it. Publish that with 1 or 2 people that you trust, respect, that you know want to see you win, and that will also hold you accountable. And I'm telling you, you're well on your way to achieving what it is you want. You just have to do it long enough, consistently. And eventually it's an inevitable, right? It's one of the things I always ask myself is, how do I make my desired outcome inevitable so that it's unreasonable to expect me not to accomplish this by doing this? Hopefully that makes sense. You might need to rewind that, but how do I make my desired outcome inevitable? And so that if I did this long enough, consistently enough, it's unreasonable not to hit that goal or not to accomplish whatever it is you're after. Hopefully that makes sense. I want to leave you with that. I've had quite a few of you reach out to me about Ascend. We've had several interviews over the last couple of weeks, and there is just a few openings left. Ascend is unique in many ways, one of which there's only 34 seats. There's only 34 opportunities to be a part of it, of which we only have 2 available at this time. So if you are interested in connecting with us, learning more about Ascend, ascendyoursuccess.com. Other than that, I so look forward to connecting with you on the next episode. Have an amazing day, my friends. Take care. Hope you enjoyed that episode. But before you go, I've had a lot of people recently reach out to me wanting to learn more about Ascend, wanting to understand how the mastermind component works, how the coaching relationship works. And so right now we're actually on a waiting list. But what I would encourage you to do is, if you think you're the right fit and you think you could benefit from being a part of our community, head over to ascendyoursuccess.com, watch the short video, and then just click the apply to join button below. And then we'll be in contact with you if and when a spot opens up. So really appreciate you listening to Flip Empire here, and I look forward to connecting with you on the next show. Take care.